Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are then going to jump in with a session number 2. Salama, if you can maybe just let me know if you can still see our screens and if you can still hear me, then I'm going to start with session 2.
Hi, Ina. Yes, I can still hear you and I see you. Um, okay, but you haven't uploaded the new slide yet. This is still
Oh, is it not? Okay, hang on a
learning.
bit. Let's just,
No. This is still learning unit 6.
okay, let's see now. Okay, I think now it's the right slide. Thank you. Is it now saying,
Yes.
okay,
Perfect.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, unit
Okay,
5.
students, so we in session 2 then of our revision morning, and now we're going to focus very specifically on Learning Unit 5 and specifically the General Journal, because this is the one part in Learning Unit 5 where we always find that students are struggling a little bit. For those who've maybe just joined you, just to let you know who's with you in the classroom, it is myself and Salama. We are the presenters of our session this morning. And yes, the session is being recorded, and later today you will be able to watch the recording on YouTube if you look for the School of Management Studies channel. Our second semester test then covers learning units 1 to 6. So please make sure that you are giving the right amount of attention to all 6 of those learning units. And don't forget to save the date 17 June for our exam revision day. Okay, so we're going to look now at Learning Unit 5, but as I said, specifically at preparing general journal entries. And again, if you go to your module outline, you will find all the Learning Unit outcomes there for Learning Unit number 5. And there under theme 4, Learning Unit outcome number 9, is we require you to be able to do general journal entries. And these entries are really key because they are also going to move with us into second semester. So it is really important that you need to know how to do your general journal entries so that it doesn't become a problem when you also are in our second semester. So when we test you in first semester accounting, and we also spoke a bit about this when we did our test 1 revision, there's really only a handful of transactions that we can test you on. And if you know how to record that's a handful of transactions, then you'll really see that whether you're looking at a past paper, or a textbook example or a textbook question, they are really all really just derivatives of the same set of basic entries. And the same thing now applies here for our general journal entries. So the entries that you must make sure that you know how to do general journal entries for is what happens if the owner contributes an asset to the business. And there can be 2 variations. It can be with or without VAT. Then there is the drawings of assets, like the inventory. And we already looked at that entry when we looked at our Learning Unit 6 earlier this morning. Then there is a settlement discount received from creditors. And again, we looked at that entry a little bit earlier this morning in Learning Unit number 6. Then we can also provide a settlement discount to our debtors when they settle their account. There can be interest either charged to the account of a debtor or charged by one of our creditors. There can be credit losses, so that's when we write off a debtor's account, and then the correction of errors. So if you can make sure you know how to do these sort of 7 different types of general journal entries, then you will see most of the questions that are out there in past papers and in the textbook are really just based around these entries. What you also have to remember is that we said earlier the reason we started with Learning Unit 6 was because Learning Unit 6 and the inventory systems is now going to impact every question that we do. And specifically, when we ask you to do general journal entries, your inventory systems will have an impact on drawings of inventory. And we did see that earlier in Learning Unit 6, and how we record the settlement discount received from a creditor. Both of these entries will be dependent on the inventory system being used in the question. And if you need to go and have a look at that again, then please go back to our Learning Unit 6 recording, where we did have a look at the impact of the inventory system on these two general journal entries. So now we're going to look, I've only chosen 2 general journal entries for this section because I want to just take you again through it step by step, exactly what it is you have to do when you are asked to do a general journal entry. So for our example that we're now going to use, the entry reads like this. So the owner excuse me, makes a capital contribution in the form of furniture worth 22,000 rands. Sorry, 22,500 rands. And the receiver of revenue, so SARS, said, yes, the business can claim input VAT. So now we're going to record this transaction in the general journal. So let's first begin by just looking at what does a general journal look like. So on your screen now, this is now a representation of a general journal. So we have got a column for our documents, and these will typically be journal vouchers, then the day on which we're recording the transaction, and then we have a column for details. Now, what are we looking for in this details column? In this details column, we're looking for the names of general ledger accounts. Okay, so in this details column in a general journal, we are looking for the name of the general ledger accounts that we are going to debit and credit as part of this entry. And what do we mean again by general ledger account names? That brings us back to this chart of accounts. So figure 2.2 in your textbook. And if you're working with a 2026 version of the textbook, I mean page 53. And Salama already spoke about this page in our previous recording, where we went through Learning Unit 6. So remember, you had to study this page for test, the first semester test. But please, this page is still as important as it was for semester test 1. Because without this page, you're not going to know the names of the general ledger accounts, and you are not going to know if they're classified as assets, as income, as liabilities. And then if you don't know that, you're not going to know if you're going to debit or credit the account. So please, if you are a little bit rusty now, on page 53, if you've forgotten it a little bit because it was now a while back since we prepared for test 1, then please go back. You always have to study this page first when you start preparing for an assessment. So if we now asked to do a general journal entry, the first question you have to ask yourself is which general ledger accounts will be impacted by this entry. And our example was, we said the owner contributed furniture. So the 2 general ledger accounts that will be impacted is the capital account and the furniture account. Okay, so we have now been able to identify the 2 general ledger accounts that will be impacted by this transaction. But you will recall in the question, they told us the owner or the business, we can claim input VAT on this transaction. So with other words, there's actually a 3rd account that will be impacted. So in this particular entry then, 3 general ledger accounts are going to be impacted. Capital, because it's the owner. Furniture, the owner contributed furniture. And then the receiver said we could claim input VAT. So that's step number 1. Now, step number 2, now we have to figure out whether we're going to debit or credit each of these 3 accounts. And this is now where our good friend DeadClick comes into the scenario. So Salama has already told you earlier this morning that you must remember to use DeadClick. And in fact, she actually reminded you to write it on your test paper so that you don't forget DeadClick. What do I mean again by DeadClick? Remember, the dead means we're going to debit expenses, assets, and drawings. And that is if there is an increase in expenses, assets, and drawings. And we're going to credit liabilities, income, and capital if there is an increase in these 3 accounts. If there is a decrease, then it goes to the opposite side. So again, to bring us back to our question, so we're sitting with an asset, furniture, and we have capital. So both our furniture and our input VAT are assets, the assets that are going to increase. So we need to debit the accounts. And then we have a capital account that's also increasing. So we have to write it on the credit side. So to show it to you, capital increases on the credit side, input VAT and furniture increases on the debit side. So now that we've figured out which general ledger accounts are going to be impacted and how are these accounts going to be impacted, now what we need to do is write this down as a general journal entry. So now we're going to use this information to write down the general journal entry. So this is what the general journal entry is going to look like. And it's exactly, I'm writing exactly what I can see here in my T accounts. So I'm going to write down, I'm going to debit furniture. There you can see it. I'm going to debit input VAT. There's the debit. And I'm going to credit capital. Credit capital. And you can see the furniture and input VAT is sitting in the debit column and capital in the credit column. So that's why it's so important that you first need to do the first 2 steps. So when we ask you to write a general journal entry, 1, identify the 2 or 3 accounts involved. 2, determine whether you have to increase those accounts or decrease the accounts, and then you just write it down in your general journal. So let's go through it one more time. So when we do a general journal entry, we follow the following steps. First step is we identify which general ledger account or accounts we have to debit. And that is then the first thing that you have to write down in your general journal. So we always begin a general journal entry by writing down the general ledger account name that you're going to debit. And in the debit column, you write down the amount. And remember, in this example, we were debiting 2 general ledger accounts. Step number 2, which general ledger account or accounts am I going to credit? So in this example, we were crediting the capital account, and therefore we put the amount in the capital column. The third thing we do is we remember that this is a double entry. So if it is a double entry, it means your total debits must equal your total credits. Okay, so a general journal entry is a double entry. So it means that it has to impact at least 2 accounts. And on the one side, it must be debit. On the other side, it must be credit. And the debits and credits must be equal. And then the last thing we add to make it a complete general journal entry is we add the narration. And a narration is just a one-word sentence as to why did we make this entry. So we're just saying here, the owner contributed furniture. That is our narration. Okay, so the 4 steps is step number 1, which general ledger accounts will we debit? Step number 2, which general ledger accounts will we credit? Step number 3, make sure your debit and credit amounts are equal. And step number 4, add the narration unless the question specifically states that it is not required. If you want to practice another entry like this one, again, you can go to your question 5.4. And if you look at day 1, they have a similar entry, but for this one, we were not allowed to claim the input VAT. Salama, how are we doing out there in the classroom?
Hi, Ina. We're all good. We just had a student wanting to know how you calculated the input VAT. I just told the student you will take the inclusive subtracted from the exclusive, or we could just calculate it on the exclusive amount or on the inclusive amount. And then what you divide by what you have to get to that 294.78. And again, just have a student wanting to know the order. Does the order matter when showing the debits and the credits?
Yes, remember your order matters in that you have to start with your debits. But if you put, say, input VAT first and then furniture, that doesn't matter as long as you just start with your debit entries. Okay, thanks, Salama. Okay, so now I want you just to try this one quickly. So we won't spend a lot of time on it, but I just want you to look at this entry. So now we're talking about a settlement discount that we as the business are now giving to our debtor. So just there quickly on your piece of paper, see quickly if you can identify the general ledger accounts that will be impacted by this transaction. And if you can identify whether we're going to debit or credit each of the accounts. So I'm going to pause my chatting for a moment here and just give you all a chance to identify the general ledger accounts and also to identify if you are going to debit or credit the accounts. Okay, I trust you've all had a chance now to think through it. And we're going to do it, of course, in terms of our 4 steps. So our first step, remember, we have to identify which general ledger account or accounts, because it can sometimes be more than one account. Are we going to debit? Then we are going to think through it, which general ledger account or accounts are we going to credit? Then we are going to make sure that our amounts are in fact equal. So it is a proper double entry. And then we will give the narration. So let's have a look at it. So maybe you can all just do this alongside with me. So which account or accounts will I debit? And remember again, let's just recap quickly. So the transaction we're talking about is a settlement discount of 575 rands that was given to our debtor super suppliers. Okay, so that's the transaction that we're talking about. And we're now going to do the general journal entry. So first step said then, which accounts are we going to debit? And in this instance, we are going to debit the sales account, and the sales account is going to be excluding VAT. So you can see here in my calculation, to get the amount excluding VAT, I'm dividing by 1.15. And that is then on the debit side, because I'm writing down first the general ledger account or accounts that I'm going to debit. So it is sales, but it's not only sales, it is also input VAT. And input VAT then is the difference between the amount including VAT and the amount excluding VAT. And you can see all of these are sitting in the debit column because I did step number 1, the general ledger accounts that will be debited. And the 2 accounts is sales and input VAT. And of course, remember to show us your workings. Step number 2 said the general ledger account that I'm going to credit. So which general ledger account am I going to credit? I'm going to credit the debtors control account, and therefore I'm going to put the amount in the credit column to show that I'm going to credit the debtors control account. And remember, for both debtors and creditors, you have to say a debtors control account and give us the name of the debtor. And the same thing with creditors, you've got to say creditors control account and give us the name of the creditor if it was provided in the question. Okay, so we say debtors control account and then the name of the debtor. And that will become more clear to you in learning unit number 7. Then we're going to make sure that our total debits equal our total credits. So if I add 500 plus 75, then it equals my 575. So it's the perfect double entry because my debits are equal to my credits. And then the last thing, I'm going to add the narration unless the question says it's not required. And my little narration is just a prompt settlement discount that was granted to a debtor. If you want to practice more questions where you do settlement discounts granted to debtors, again, you can go back to our question 5.4 and days 9, 11, and 13. Will give you an opportunity to practice more entries just like this one. Okay, so we said our key now to doing well in the test and the exam is for us to practice as much as possible. So what can I practice? I can practice example 5.1. I can practice question 5.4, which I've referred you to a few times. Question 5.84 is also general journal entries. Question 6.75 is more general journal entries. And then at the back of your textbook in that Annexure B, there's 3 more questions focusing just on general journal entries. So there's plenty of questions for you to practice if you still don't have the hang of the general journal entries. And then remember again, at the back of your textbook, you can find all the solutions as well as these extra revision questions and solutions. Before we walk away from the general journal, I just want to show you last year's semester test, just to show you another interesting way that we can test you on this particular section. So last year, this is a semester test 2 from last year. There was a question number 4, and the student was asked to do the general journal entries for these 3 transactions. But before we look at the actual entries, just some more exam tips. So remember exam tip number 2. Exam tip number 2 says we need to make sure we are managing our time properly in the upcoming assessments. For each question, you have 1.2 minutes for every mark that you have to earn. What does that mean then? It means if this question was for 15 marks, you multiply the 15 marks by 1.2, and then you know you have got 18 minutes in which to complete this question. And please don't overrun the 18 minutes, because then it means later on in your paper, you're either not going to be able to finish, or you have to start rushing through questions. And both of those have got a negative impact on your overall marks. So please make sure that you are sticking to the time allocated to every question. And then exam tip number 3, remember exam tip number 1 was to show your workings. Exam tip number 2 is to manage your time, and exam tip number 3 is to always read your required and the information in the question with great care. So let's see now, what is it that they require from us in this question? So remember, oh, there's so many things. I keep saying remember, but when you start a question, then as we said in Learning Unit 6, the first thing to check is which inventory system is being used in the question, because that will have an impact on some of your general journal entries. So the first thing you do when you start reading now through the information in your question is to make sure you've seen which inventory system is being used in the question, and going hand in hand with the inventory system is, are they using a markup or are they using a gross margin? Because that will, of course, impact your calculations. Then the second thing we look at here is that tell us specifically narrations are not required. Because remember, our step 4 said provide a narration unless the question specifically says it's not required. And you can see what I mean by that when we look at the sentence down here. Then the next thing, and this was the interesting bit that I actually wanted to show you in this question. They said that both sales and purchases must also be recorded in the general journal, where typically we would record sales in the debtors journal and purchases in the creditors journal. But in this question specifically, they want you to do general journal entries for sales and purchases. So this is why it's so key that you have to read your required, and you really have to read it with that magnifying glass that I always show when I show the required, because otherwise you might miss out on little things like this, and you might think, oh, okay, I only need to do transaction number 7 because they're not asking to do a debtors or a creditors journal. So please make sure you are really going through all of this information. And then the very last reminder we've got here is show your workings, and you can round off to the nearest rand. Okay, often in class students ask me, how do I know when I'm allowed to round off an amount? And you will look here and look in your question, and you'll find that specific detail here is we show workings and we allow to round off to the nearest rand. So that is exam tip number 3 then, is please make sure you are reading your required, but that you're also reading the entire question so that you don't miss out any little details that we give you in a question. If you're looking for past papers, remember you can go onto your Emerus landing page. You can go to library, and that's where you will find the past papers. But as with test 1, remember our caution is don't go to past papers too quickly. So please don't just go to class and then think from class you can leap straight to past papers. Remember, to pass accounting 1A, there are no shortcuts. So you've got to make sure you've got the bridge that can help you go from your classroom knowledge to your past papers. And as you can see, there's a big gap here that has to be filled by doing textbook examples and textbook questions. Salama, before we have another short break, are there anything that our students still want to know on general journal entries?
Hi, Ina. I think I just had a question now from students regarding the folio. Do we, as he wants to know, in the journal, in the general journal, are folios important?
Okay, so let's just quickly go
I
back
think
here. So with other words, the student is asking, do we need to write anything over here in the folio column? And for the
yes.
so for the general journal, you can ignore the folio column. Okay, so just in the general journal, you'll see later when Salama and I talk about the general ledger, there it's really important. But in the general journal, you may ignore the folio column. Salama, any other questions from our students?
Okay. I think what you just wanted to know with the journal narration entry, right settlement discount granted, or, or must she write the prompt? Sometimes if you don't need to write the word prompt. I think they were just worried about the journal narration.
Okay, remember here with the journal narration students, as markers, we normally have some markers discretion here in marking these narrations. And your narration just has to make sense for the transaction that it refers to. So you don't have to give the words necessarily verbatim like I have it here on my slide. But if your sentence that you write here just really has to make sense in the question, in the context of the particular entry that you are recording. And oftentimes when you look at the wording we actually used in the question for the entry, you can actually pull from that wording in preparing your narration. Anything else from our students, Salama?
Again, but I think we have explained it to the students. Again, I think they are getting confused when to use the input VAT and the output VAT. Again, but we try to explain the technical rule there, and just to remember that if it's input VAT, that it's an asset, and that is why we're going to get it.
Okay, I'm not sure if you've. Oh,
Then
you not? Oh, sorry. I thought you were just that you'd broken up. Okay,
no,
so for
no, sorry.
yes, thanks. So just remind them that yes, on the input VAT. Is there anything else you want to remind them of?
Okay. I'm sorry, just one last question. I'd like to find out about the general journal where we granted our debt settlement discount. Were we not supposed to put output VAT because it was sale? I got a
Okay,
student
so
here from a question from Teboko.
Okay, so you're right, a student. Normally, when we record sales, it will be sales and output VAT. You're quite right. But remember, we're not crediting sales here. We're actually debiting sales here. So this is the opposite to how we would normally record a sale, because normally we would credit sales, credit output VAT, debit, debtors control. But as you can see, this transaction is the opposite of your normal credit sales transaction. That's why we're also changing here to input VAT, and it's not output VAT, because this time we're debiting the VAT account. And if we debit a VAT account, we always go to the input VAT account. Yeah, I think maybe if the students can do the rest of their questions in the chat, I just want to give everyone else a quick 5-minute break before, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get to that slide, before we go into a detailed look at learning units 4 and 5. So students, according to my time, it's now 11:47. So please, if we can be back at 11:52 to carry on with learning units 4 and 5, and there we'll look at all the other journals. So we'll see you back in 5 minutes. Please